If you don't do this for a while, just like set the camera down for a while. You turn the camera back on, and you're like, is that what I fucking look like? What the fuck? Anyways, Agent of Doubt here, world's worst SJW. And it's time for a ramble. It's overdue, probably. Overdue for a ramble. And I just wanted to talk about where I'm at, why it's taken me like a whole month to ramble. I made it. I guess I've arrived. Not so much here on YouTube where, this whole, racket of people who think they're going to win the lottery and just talk to a camera and make it rich. This has not worked for me. And it probably never should for anyone. It ruins people. But I made it successfully in my professional life where I don't have to worry about anyone canceling me anymore. I feel like I have enough of a cushion that I can talk to you guys and say whatever the fuck I want, and not have to worry about somebody trying to reach out and touch someone because they disagreed with me online, and they desperately want to let somebody know in my personal world that that I have an opinion on something, and so therefore I should be affected in my real life. So I'm happy for that, but ran into a new snag, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So I think I'll name this video the point at which you find out you don't love yourself. Sounds about right, but it starts with let's say as a kid I was watching professional wrestling, right? And there was one wrestler in particular, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And he used to say, everybody's got a price. I think the whole thing was everybody's got a price and everybody's got to pay. But I remember that very well right now. And it's because, I am consumed with thoughts about the price that people sell themselves for labor in order to make money to live in this world. As part of my job, I'm talking to people who are trying to do things right and find a proper job. Many of my clients have justice mandates. They're on paper. They are on probation and parole, and they've hit rock bottom. And the way that they got there, they picked up a few charges along the way. And so they have for whatever amount of time in their lives, a force telling them, you got to go get a job. Part of a lot of people's justice mandates is that in order to stay in certain classifications of person, that you're allowed to have more freedoms than other people who are justice connected. In order to do that, you have to maintain a job. Like the probation officer will tell you, you must have gainful employment, and they will tell you what kind of employment you're allowed to have. Like, they don't want you having certain employment. They want employment that, like, you're working for somebody and there's an official, like, paper transaction that they can attach to in case the court wants to take a certain amount of your money. They of course don't want people to go back to their ways of doing things criminally. I get that, but what they want is a job that is traceable, to a larger company where they can, talk to them and say, hey, how much does this guy make? Give us the pay stub, and we can figure out what percentage of that needs to go where, and it makes things easier for the probation or parole officer to be able to see it all on paper, all on one page. But a good portion of the rest of the world doesn't live like that all the time, where everything can be reduced to one page of what did this person do for the last whatever pay period lasts. And I see people being funneled into certain situations where the best they can do is to be exploited, because they're forced to live in a system where they have to get a job at a place that is going to exploit them, and they can't really negotiate well for themselves what they're worth. And so they end up working very hard for an amount of money that right now does not even allow for living with any sort of comfort in the cities. And it's not just my city, it's all cities, right? And I've been seeing in my clients people job hop right now, because if you want a raise, just look around. There's a job paying better. Just get yourself your raise, And what used to be, the prevailing minimum wage was something like $12. Prevailing meaning like not what the law is dictating, but like what people demand, together, and it just seems to be, because I remember the fight for 15, and nobody in my city can work for $15 an hour and make it. So now we've surpassed that. Prevailing minimum, I think, would be around 18 right now, based on what I hear from a myriad of different workers in my work week. And I could get you walk on 22 with a high school diploma, in so many different places. So if you're not making that, then maybe look around and say, take a good hard look at what you are doing, because if you haven't switched jobs in a year, you're probably being exploited for your loyalty. And so I say all this to say that people make decisions about how much their time is worth. You sell your time to employers, and they give you money, and during that time you're supposed to do stuff for them, right? And what you value your time at, I would hope that you respect yourself, but many people don't know their own worth, and that's why wages get stagnant for a while. As people will in their hard times accept payment that is less than what they're worth. And times have been hard. So I hearken back to that everybody's got a price and everybody's going to pay. That message that I heard when I was watching what I consider to be television for adolescents, professional wrestling. And that message just, it keeps on echoing in my head. But there's also, later on in my life, I heard a joke. And I'm just paraphrasing the joke. I don't remember where it came from. But basically, a guy is asking a woman an indecent proposition. You know, would you sleep with me for, for money? And the woman's like, no. And he's like, well, would you sleep with me for $10? And she says, no. And he says, would you sleep with me for $10,000? And she's like, He's like, would you sleep with me for $1 million? And she's, maybe. And so then he goes back to, well, would you sleep with me for $20? And she's like, wait, hold up. Who do you think I am? And the guy says, well, we've already established that you're a whore. We're just negotiating the price now. And so I remember that joke, but it's got real world implications to it. It's sometimes knowledge gets passed down from person to person in the form of jokes. I swear to God. And some of the jokes are a way to smile through the pain. And I say all this to let you guys know that, sometimes I make videos and then I stop for a while because I'm depressed. And sometimes I make videos and I stop for a while because I'm actually engrossed in something that I really care about. But I would say in the past month, the reason why I haven't made as many videos is because I found the price at which I guess I don't love myself anymore, because I worked all those hours that I was away, as many as I could, because I guess we'll just throw out here a thought experiment. If you found out that your wage went from whatever wage you're making to $1,000 an hour, how many hours would you be willing to work in your work week? Now, some people would be like, okay, I'm going to go from, the time I wake up, I'll shower and shave, and then I'm going to go to work and, 16 hours maybe. And then I'm just going to have people visit me at work, and I'll pay some of that $1,000 to, have someone do my laundry, have someone, stop by and see how I'm doing, cater my meals, and live that way. And these numbers that I'm working with right now, like $1,000 an hour, and what it does to some people's lives, I'm basically describing your high-end lawyer right now. And some of you might be thinking, oh, lawyers don't make $1,000 an hour. Some do. And if you can't go that far with me, just think maybe $300 an hour, because that's actually like quoted rates probably in your city. So, the better lawyers can command a rate that basically equates to $1,000 an hour. And those better lawyers, they do a lot of working lunches where Maybe they might go to a restaurant, but they're still working while they're there, and they're not having any fun. They're working, and they work every moment of their life. That, like, they have no life. They work. When you find out that your rate of pay is, beyond this certain number that everyone has their own, everybody's got a price. When you find out that your rate of pay is exceeding that limit that everyone has for themselves, you just start to throw yourself into it because you actually feel like it's worth it for some reason. Some people, they will schedule in self-care time. They know that the body is not meant to go through just work, and never have any fun, and your brain just can't handle it, and you need to be able to come home and watch some TV and veg out and relax. I don't know that those people are smarter or dumber, but they have made a decision about how they want to live their life. They don't want to live it, live to work, work to live. And maybe that's all about price point too. At one certain price, you start to think, I need to take care of myself. I can't be working for that money and letting it burn me out. And then at another price point, you're thinking, well, I could use some of that money to stave off the ill effects of always working all the time. When I worked in the refineries in Texas, and I was making a decent wage for what I was doing then. This is, over a decade ago. I think in 3 months I made like 60 grand. And during that 3 months, I had what I called the fucked up economy of Mike, where I paid one of my cousins to do my laundry. And I left a bunch of money for doing the laundry on the kitchen table. I think it was like $100 for them to do a pile of laundry. And for me, that wasn't a big fraction of what I was making. So I figured, for them enabling me to keep working the way that I was, and wash all those Nomex jumpsuits and all the undershirts that I just had in a pile. It was one of those Walmart plastic tubs that it looks like a bathtub, and it was full, past the top, like a mountain of clothes on top of it. And I was like, okay, I'll give you $100. So my cousin, she instead of going to the laundromat with the extra $20 that I put just for like quarters for the laundromat, instead of going to the laundromat, she went to her mom's house to do my laundry and pass the energy cost of running the washing machine off onto her mom, and she pocketed the extra $20 that I left specifically for getting change to be able to run the laundromat machines, so that it would not affect other people's lives. But she realized that this world is sometimes about externalities. How much cost can you push off onto other people? So that $20 in her hand to her was worth, her mom maybe having a $5 spike in her energy bill for all those loads of laundry that she was putting through her mom's washing and machine and dryer, for that day. I came home, and as I had directed, I had a case of Mountain Dew and all of my laundry was folded, and it was clean, and it was nice, and that was, for somebody in their late teens, that was a nice job for them, like $120 just to do laundry. you know Most of which you let the machine do the work. You throw it in, you know throw the detergent in, let the machine do its thing, and then afterwards she had to fold it. And that was fucked up, because, like, what I was doing on my job was, maybe more technical, but, I was valuing myself at a rate so much that I could command another person to do my dirty work. And I just called it the fucked up economy of Mike. I didn't have time to cook myself a proper meal. And every lunchtime at the refineries where I was working, there would be people who were just trying to make a side hustle, and they would pull up to the fence right next to the refinery, the security fence, and you could go up to the fence, and people would have their entire trunk full of those styrofoam, take home boxes, and they had made at their homes like plate lunches, they called them. And for $5, you get, some of the best food you'd ever eaten. Some boudin and some red beans and rice and stuff, and, like, that's how I lived. I was pushing off making my own food at home onto other people, and I could fill my cousin's fridge full of food, for a couple $100, and then be able to go to their house and eat, but I could not have the time to cook my own food. That takes way too much time to, stay home, cook healthy food. So I was just, everywhere I went, I was spending money to eat, and, in this past month, I found that there is, at the price point that I'm at, a point to where I know I need to take a break, but, there are times where people are like, hey, there's a crisis over here, and we see that there's this hour on your schedule that you're not using. Would you be willing to see this person? And in my mind, I'm like, feel my pulse. How much money do I want to make today? Have I been able to get to the Chinese food that everyone in the office ordered, and I wanted to eat with, other people and be able to chat while at lunch, but, there's my Chinese food 2 hours later, because I've sold even my lunchtime because I'm a greedy bastard. At lower price points, when I was working myself up to this point in my career, I used to, have no negotiating ability and be told, well, the counselors in this location, in the detox, they have to work the same hours as the nurses, because it's easier on the nurses to force other people to work the same hours that the nurses do, which is 12-hour shifts. And now I have the option within like a 12-hour window of like, hey, how much of that 12 hours do I want to work? And I've chosen for myself that I don't need just one lunch break, which I give myself a full hour for. I need two of them, right? But part of that is an extension of the price point that I'm working at. Because if I was making less money, I might be forced to give up some of the break times that I take in the day. I make my own schedule. And I find that I'm doing to myself a lot of what my former employers that kind of have you by the short and curly because, employers only pay you enough so that you can't leave them. Enough to basically make enough money to live and still have to come back to them for more work. They don't pay you what you're worth. They pay you what it takes to keep you at the job. And so, I used to work a job in that detox downtown where, OSHA says that you're supposed to have, a lunch break and two, 15-minute breaks in a shift that long. But do you ever get it? Hell no. You're there for 12 and a half hours where they use the computer to take out a 30-minute lunch break that you never got. Because legally, you're not allowed to work that, but how does it actually fall during your day? You try to take a lunch break, and they will run right over that lunch break. You can't coordinate with people on the outside of your work to say, hey, meet me at this diner near my work, and we could have a chat over lunch. No, there's none of that shit because you don't really have the security of knowing that you're going to have a lunch that happens at a certain time, because they the needs of the job might be, oh well, we need you to push your lunch back. Well, fuck. Yeah, I remember they actually had the rule that you weren't allowed to leave the premises on your lunch. Because staffing was so bad, and it's, part of a medical facility and whatnot. Staffing was so bad that if people left on their lunch break, left the building, then they would be in, violation of other rules. About how many staff have to be in the building per client that's detoxing. And so, they had the break room there. Go try to eat your lunch and then not have it interrupted by somebody coming and talking about work. And I know that I might sound like old-fashioned here, but when you go to the break room, you don't talk shop. Fuck that, But it happens all the time. You sit down, you're trying to eat your food, and somebody wants to interrupt you and talk about work. And, that just happened to me, 2 days ago. And here I am at this point in my career. I'm sitting down, eating my Chinese food, late, after everybody else has already eaten theirs. I find a minute to eat, and someone sits down next to me and starts talking about work. And I swear I was shooting laser beams out of my eyes. And it was hard for other people watching it to not, burst out laughing at how evil of a look I shot across that table at the person who kept talking about work while I'm trying to fucking eat. You know? Externalities, right? If you can push more work into somebody's break time, then you're getting more value out of them. And I'm not even talking about like somebody who's my boss. It's just the system works in the favor of bosses in that way where even people who are not your boss will try to extract more value out of you at your workspace for the greater good of the job, you know? And you got to keep good boundaries. And I tell all my clients boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. But, you know, for as much as I tell people boundaries, some of my advice is actually telling them don't accept other people's boundaries. If their boundary is becoming a hazard to your ability to do better, then, you know, keep knocking on that door until either somebody answers the door or you knock the door down. You know, I tell people stuff like that all the time. So, I am my own worst enemy. I am empowering people with the advice that lets them know how to get around the boundaries that I'm telling them to set. Isn't that beautiful? Anyways, I'm in a space now where I'm trying to choose what I'm worth and how much of that time do I need to be working if the pay is, you know, a certain level. You know, how much do I need? How much does it cost me to not have free time? You know, how much could I have actually made in my free time with my hobbies that make money versus what I make at work, you know? So I know this video is going to make all of 10 cents on YouTube with the few people that are going to be watching after I haven't posted anything in a whole month, basically. So how much do I think that I need to keep pressing forward and just make money for money's sake and not be able to enjoy it? That's where I'm at. But at least I wanted everyone to know that, you know, my disappearance for the last month wasn't as much related to depression as it was figuring out a good workflow of how much do I value my time. Take care, people.